Comic Book Movie Fan Productions. And welcome back to another installment in the Marvel film Retrospective. Today's film is a 2003 Hulk film. The first time the big green guy jumped onto the big screen. Does it hold up after many versions of the Hulk before and after it? Let's not waste any more time and get into the plot. The film revolves around Bruce Banner, who transforms into a giant green monster known as the Hulk when he gets angry, played by Eric Bana in this version. The film starts out with a montage of Bruce's father experimenting on different animals to try and to improve cells and regeneration. When a young General Ross tells him he can't use human subjects, he experiments on himself. Soon afterwards, he has a son, Bruce, who gets passed on the genes. A few years later, General Ross realizes he passed on the genes to Bruce and shuts down his program. Then he sets a gamma explosion in the lab. Then it cuts to years later as we see an adult Bruce working on a science lab with his ex-girlfriend Betty Ross, played by Jennifer Connelly, as they do some gamma experiments on animals. One day, one of the scientists accidentally sets off the gamma rays by bumping into them, and Bruce saves him, but gets exposed to the gamma radiation. He wakes up in a hospital bed, and Betty says that the gamma should have killed him, but because of his father's genes, it unlocks something. Then an older version of his father shows up, played by Nick Nolte, with his 3 dogs. He tries to get Bruce to show him his powers, but doesn't. Bruce then starts having visions, and one night, when in the lab gets mad and transforms into the big green guy, the Hulk, he destroys the lab and runs off to his house and passes out. The next day, he catches the eye of an older General Ross, played by Sam Elliott, who realizes Bruce is the son of David Banner, and tries to lock him up after he realizes the connection. One night, Bruce is at his house and gets mad again when a business military guy, Talbot, tries to beat him up after he gets kicked off his project, but transforms into the Hulk, breaking his bones and going to see Betty in her father's cabin, which her father told her to stay at, and then is attacked by his father's 3 dogs, who also transform into monsters, and kills them. The next day, Bruce is arrested by General Ross's army and taken into the same facility his father used to work at and where he lived at when he was little, and he is experimented on by Talbot and other scientists. Bruce's father shows up to Betty's house to ask if he can turn himself in to see his son, but she says it's out of her father's hands. Then he tells the story of how he should have killed Bruce before he was born, and tried killing him when he was a child but slipped the knife he was holding and stabbed his wife, Bruce's mother, accidentally. Bruce breaks out of the facility, killing Talbot and fighting off General Ross and his army. He runs and jumps to San Francisco and is knocked out when a fighter plane he saves from crashing into the Golden Gate Bridge flies up into the atmosphere and falls into the water. He is once again captured by Ross and chained across from his father, David, who vents off about how he wants to see his real son, the Hulk, and to see him transform and how they are better than humanity. Then David bites into an electric cable and absorbs all the power and electricity of San Francisco. Earlier in the film, he experimented on himself again with the gamma machine that got thrown out of the lab when the Hulk destroyed it, so he unleashed the genes and now he has the power to absorb energy, giving him the name the Absorbing Man. They fight in a lake, and Bruce decides to give all of his energy to his father, which expands the water he transformed into a giant bubble, which the military blow up and is killed. Betty and Ross think that Bruce is dead, but it cuts to 1 year later when it shows Bruce in South America with a beard like Captain America, helping out the villagers with medicine, but then some rebels come in to steal it. And it shows Bruce's eyes turning green as credits roll. The positives with this movie are that the CGI, while not the best now, still hold up and honestly look better than I expected revisiting the movie. Not only because every other superhero film around this time had, at best, adequate CGI, because it was still new, but also whenever the Hulk is on screen, he feels and looks real, and whenever he's on screen is when the film is actually entertaining. And the action is also shot well. Danny Elfman once again brings another interesting superhero score. Now, it's not as good as Batman or Spider-Man, but I like the dramatic sense it has to it. Nick Nolte, even though he can be incredibly cheesy, especially when he's mutant dogs, he has the best dialogue of the film and chews up the scenery.
Stop! What? Stop! What? Think of all those men out there in their uniforms, barking and swallowing orders, inflicting their petty rule over the entire globe. Think of all the harm they've done to you, to me, to humanity.
I was always engaged when he was on screen, and you can tell that Ang Lee, the director, had a vision and tried doing a different take on the Hulk. A way more realistic and somber take on the character, which I'll feel like we'll see in Avengers Endgame. But now let's get to the negatives. The negatives with this movie to start off with is the editing. If you know this movie, the first thing that comes to mind is the editing, because Ang Lee tried to edit this film like a comic book, with multiple panels, transitions, etc., and it's executed very poorly.
Gamma decontamination will occur in 30 minutes. Evacuate immediately.
Started.
Nanomeds released.
I respect the ambition, but what kills it is not only the transitions look bad and takes me out of the film, but also it doesn't fit the tone of the movie at all. When a film like Scott Pilgrim does crazy comic book editing, not only is it executed well, it fits the crazy tone of the film. When you do a serious comic book film exploring the themes and delve into these characters, you don't have Scott Pilgrim like editing. I want to see a cut where they edit it like a regular film. It would benefit the film a lot more and make it better. Another big problem is the acting. Apart from Nick Nolte, who's not even that great in the role, the rest of the acting is very bland and it seems like everybody was falling asleep. These are good actors too. Eric Bana and Jennifer Connelly both deliver their lines like they're reading off a script, and they don't sell me on their romance. And Sam Elliott's usual charisma is completely gone and is very boring as General Ross. The writing is very bad as well. The film's interesting ideas aren't explored in the way that's engaging. It feels very rushed, despite the pacing, which is incredibly slow. Not to mention the dialogue for the most part is bad. The film is too long. It's nearly 2.5 hours and should have been cut by 20 minutes. At the very least, given a few more rewrites, which it should have had. The problem with this movie is that it's so boring. The Hulk should be a fun, exciting character, but half the time he's sulking around. The film is void of any entertainment, just a bunch of metaphors and crazy editing that shouldn't fit with his character. And the director was miscast for this. He was trying to make an artsy metaphorical film rather than a fun blockbuster. Overall, it's a boring movie with very little action and not thrilling for a comic book blockbuster. It has terrible editing, a long runtime that doesn't deserve to be, interesting ideas that are wasted, and just a dull experience with only a few glimpses of a better movie, and further proves that Hulk is better in a team film than a solo film. This is definitely my least favorite version of the Hulk. It's not as entertaining as a 70s TV version or in the MCU. Even Adam Sandler's scene in Click is better than this movie.
Don't get the Hulk angry. You won't like him when he's angry.
I give Hulk a D, a 3.5 out of 10, and a skip it recommendation. So that's the 2003 Hulk film. What did you guys think of it? Comment down below your thoughts, and also make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And this isn't the last Hulk or Marvel film to review because we're in the endgame now.